The restaurant fell silent the moment Sarah walked through the door with her son. She could feel every eye in the elegant dining room turned toward them, toward little Ethan in his wheelchair, toward the medical bag hanging from the back of his chair, toward the tube that disappeared beneath his jacket. Her face flushed hot with shame, not for her son, but for what she was about to do. She had promised Marcus an evening to celebrate their 6-month anniversary, and now she was about to ruin it all. The hostess smiled professionally, but Sarah caught the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes as they settled on Ethan's wheelchair. "Your party is already seated," she said, leading them through the maze of white-clothed tables where couples leaned close over candlelight, where the clink of wine glasses punctuated soft laughter, where everything felt impossibly perfect and utterly wrong for what Sarah was bringing into this space. Marcus stood when he saw them approaching. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs as she watched his expression, searching for disappointment, for anger, for the inevitable moment when he would realize that dating a single mother with a medically complex child was more than he had signed up for. They had been taking things slowly, dates while Ethan stayed with Sarah's mother, phone calls after Ethan's bedtime, a carefully maintained boundary between her role as a mother and her desperate hope for something more in her life. But her mother had fallen ill that afternoon. Nothing serious, just a stomach bug, but enough that Sarah couldn't risk exposing Ethan to it. His immune system, compromised by his condition, couldn't handle what would be a minor inconvenience for most children. She had called Marcus 3 times to cancel, her finger hovering over his contact, but each time she had chickened out, remembering how excited he had sounded about tonight, about the reservation he had fought to get at Luminosa, about wanting to make their 6-month special. So she had made a choice. She had packed Ethan's emergency supplies, loaded his wheelchair into her car, and convinced herself that maybe, just maybe, Marcus would understand. "Sarah," Marcus said, and she braced herself. And this must be Ethan. He wasn't running. He wasn't making excuses. He was kneeling down beside Ethan's wheelchair, bringing himself to eye level with her 7-year-old son. "I've heard so much about you," Marcus continued, his voice gentle. "Your mom tells me you're pretty much the world champion at Mario Kart." Ethan's face, which had been tight with anxiety during the car ride, split into a grin. "I beat her every time," he said, his voice slightly slurred by the weakness in his facial muscles, but his pride unmistakable. "I'm so sorry," Sarah rushed to say, the words tumbling out. "My mom got sick and I couldn't find anyone else and I should have just cancelled, but I kept trying to call and I..." Marcus straightened and placed a hand on her arm. "Sarah, stop." His eyes were warm, without a trace of annoyance. "It's okay. He's welcome here. He's welcome everywhere with us." The tightness in Sarah's chest loosened slightly, but she still felt the weight of the other diners' glances, the way the couple at the next table had gone quiet, watching them. She was so tired of being watched, of being the object of curiosity or pity, of seeing people's faces rearrange themselves when they realized her son was different. The waiter appeared, and Sarah saw him hesitate, clearly not sure how to handle the unexpected third guest. Marcus handled it smoothly, requesting another chair be removed so Ethan's wheelchair would fit at the table, asking for a kid's menu, acting as if this was exactly how he had planned the evening. Through the first course, Sarah remained on edge. She helped Ethan with his food, cutting his chicken into tiny pieces, wiping his chin when his weakened muscles couldn't quite keep his mouth fully closed while he chewed. She was hyper-aware of every sound, every movement, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But Marcus kept Ethan engaged in conversation, asking about his favorite video games, his thoughts on the new superhero movie, his collection of dragon figurines that Sarah had apparently mentioned in passing weeks ago. Ethan, usually so shy around new people, was blooming under the attention. Halfway through dinner, Ethan's pump began to beep, the feeding tube that supplemented his meals needed adjusting. Sarah felt her face go hot again as the quiet alarm drew more attention to their table. "I need to," she started, reaching for Ethan's medical bag. "Do what you need to do," Marcus said simply. "Take your time." She worked quickly, her hands practiced at the routine she had performed thousands of times, but her eyes were burning with unshed tears. This was supposed to be romantic. This was supposed to be special. Instead, she was managing medical equipment in a 5-star restaurant while Marcus's anniversary surprise, whatever it had been, dissolved around them. When she finished, she looked up to find Marcus watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. I really am sorry, she whispered. This wasn't fair to you. He reached across the table and took her hand. Sarah, do you know what I see when I look at you too? He didn't wait for her answer. I see someone who moves heaven and earth for her son. I see a kid who's brave as hell and has one of the best smiles I've ever seen. I see a family. And he paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. I see where I want to be. Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks before she could stop them. But this isn't what you signed up for. Date nights with feeding tubes and medical equipment and… It's exactly what I'm signing up for, Marcus interrupted gently. If I'm with you, I'm with both of you. That's how this works. Ethan isn't an obstacle to us being together. He's part of what we're building. Ethan had been following the conversation, his eyes moving between them. Are you my mom's boyfriend? He asked Marcus directly. Marcus looked at Sarah, a question in his eyes. She nodded, barely breathing. I'd like to be, Marcus told Ethan. If that's okay with you. Ethan considered this seriously. Will you play Mario Kart with me? Absolutely. Though I should warn you, I'm going to try really hard to beat you. You won't, Ethan said with complete confidence, and they all laughed. The rest of the dinner passed in a blur of easy conversation. Marcus ordered them all dessert, a chocolate cake for Ethan that made his eyes go wide, and somewhere between the main course and coffee, Sarah felt the knot of anxiety that had lived in her chest for months begin to unravel. As they left the restaurant, Marcus walked beside Ethan's wheelchair, chatting animatedly about video game strategies. Sarah followed a step behind, watching them, marveling at how natural it looked. In the parking lot, as she loaded Ethan into the car, Marcus caught her hand. Thank you for bringing him tonight, he said. For trusting me with this. I thought you'd be upset. Sarah, he has your heart. That means he has mine too. It was such a simple statement, but it contained everything Sarah had been too afraid to hope for: acceptance, commitment, love that extended to encompass all of her reality, not just the easy parts. Driving home, Ethan chattering sleepily in the backseat about how cool Marcus was, Sarah felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. Not the desperate, anxious hope that things might work out, but the solid, steady hope that came from being truly seen and accepted anyway. She had apologized for bringing her son, and Marcus had shown her there was nothing to apologize for. In doing so, he had given her something more precious than any romantic gesture could have been: the gift of believing that love could be big enough to hold all of them, medical equipment and all, exactly as they were.